Thank you so very much for being back. And if you just joined us, Enterprise Morning. It is reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State, Nigeria. Let's get to our main conversation for today. There is fresh controversy around the Senate's work on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill ahead of 2027 elections. Lawmakers were expected to include a clear rule that would force INEC to upload election results from polling units immediately using electronic systems. This idea was supported by election experts, civil society groups, and even Senate committees, mainly to avoid the kind of confusion and court cases that followed the 2023 general elections.
Very true. However, the provision was quietly removed at the final stage of the Senate's discussions. Reports say the Senate originally approved the clause, but later changed it late at night without open debate. Now, instead of clearly saying INEC must transmit results in real time, the wording was adjusted to give INEC more freedom to decide how and when results are uploaded.
And also, this last-minute change has raised questions about transparency and whether the Senate acted in the best interest of free and fair elections. The backlash, of course, has been strong, forcing the Senate to call for an emergency meeting to clarify what was actually approved. The labor unions, civil society groups, and legal experts have warned that leaving the law unclear could damage trust in future elections. Some groups equally have threatened protest or boycott if the issue is not corrected before the bill becomes a law. Let's get talking. Barrister Franz Ofeli is still here with us. Thank you so very much, Barrister, for hanging on.
Very well.
Yes. So, Barrister, it's more of English here. The difference here is transfer and transmit, right? The election, of course, the bill that people expected the Senate should do is say transmit. But Akpabio and his team are saying transfer. And transfer means that election results can be, put together and transferred anyhow it suits them. What's your take and what's your area of concern concerning this?
Well, when during the committee stage, okay, the committee agreed on electronic transmission of results, okay. Then when it came back to the clause-to-clause reading stage, okay, and the House, the National Assembly, they all came together and said that there will be electronic transmission. Real-time electronic transmission. That's the word, real-time. Real-time means as the vote is ongoing, they'll be transmitting directly to the coalition center. Okay. And then what will be transmitted will be recorded. That's the form ECAT. So that was the agreement. Okay. But when they gathered at the House to consider this after a protracted delay and long-standing, unnecessary and unreasonable delay to bring us under pressure. They now, brought up an argument and started lobbying. Okay, some senators who are possibly working for certain interests other than the interest.
All right, I think we lost a barrister there. Communication glitch. I hope to believe he would come back at this point and equally, join us, and we would continue this because it's very crucial. Elections in every democracy is the stool upon which the economy rests, is the stool upon which sustainability is guaranteed. When you have a country with no proper election, it's actually bad. Very so bad. And the truth of the matter is the rest of the world, especially African countries, are making a mockery of Nigeria at this point because we seem not to be serious people.
No, it's not as if we are not serious. We, the citizens, we are serious.
So who is not serious at this point
our
now?
Leaders or the INEC team, they need to put things in place for the citizens to trust them. Right now, we are doing all this. These things are done because we really don't want to repeat the same mistake that was made in 2020.
Yes.
So that everything will have to be organized. That's why I said that it still boils down on, at some point, we will do our work, right, by voting, and which is very, very necessary. Then the more work, I think the more work will be done by the INEC team and all. But what about if we have a situation? Okay, I think Barrister. Okay,
Barrister is back. All right. Yeah. So, Barrister, you were speaking on your thought before we had that little glitch.
Yes, I was talking about the fact that some senators or some lawmakers who were working for certain interests other than the interests of the general public came and scuttled the process by raising some concern. They came with excuses, which the Senate President himself seemed to be in conformity with, that in certain areas of the country, they have no network, okay? They have no, there's no way the INEC will be able to transmit in those areas. And if they did not transmit in those areas, litigation will follow that the law says you must transmit. But that excuse is in bad faith. It's a useless excuse because you don't need too much bandwidth to transmit. In those areas where they're talking about, they use phones in those areas. So they can actually transmit real time, okay? But what they want us to believe is that it will be difficult to have that transmission done. You know, because transmission is going to ward off any third-party interference in terms of manipulation and malpractice. Because, and if we're able to transmit real time, it will reduce litigation. Because those who will win election will win, those who will lose gallantly. Okay? And you'll be able to see it real time that truly the vote went against you or vote went for you. And you'll be able to see the margin of lead. You'll be able to track the progression of the voting and all that. That way, you have a credible system. But so many persons do not want that credible system. They don't want it because they have planned what they want to do. They are laying the foundation and the groundwork for the corruption that they intend to unleash in 2027. And that is to ensure that they come back again, either to the House, to the center, or to whichever position they find us. So that is why we are having this problem. And the general public are not taking it lightly. If you notice now, they've called for a meeting tomorrow, that they are going to have an emergency meeting tomorrow. Whatever meeting they want to have, they should make sure that they come out from that meeting by correcting the mistakes they made so far. Because if they don't correct it, there will be a problem. There's already tension. The NLC is already talking about the fact that this confusion will not stand. We are going to take the necessary action to protect our electoral system. Civil society are also on the brow. Okay, many institutions and persons are angry at the National Assembly, and this is what they've concocted, because they concocted this in bad faith to mess up the 2027 election, and that will not be taken lightly. Okay, yes. So it is in their interest to do the right thing.
Yes, it's their interest to do the right thing. I'm excited. You are a lawyer. Senate President Godswill Akpabio is a lawyer. Litany of lawyers within the 10th Assembly. And this is the argument, legal argument Senate President Godswill Akpabio has. He said there would be a legal conundrum. And according to him, that is Senate President Godswill Akpabio, argued that making real-time electronic transmission mandatory could trigger prolonged legal disputes. Then secondly, he equally noted that supporters of the transfer, wardens appoint to Supreme Court. That's what Senate President Godswill Akpabio is saying here. That Supreme Court rulings, e.g. Article versus INEC 2023, which held that the IREF portal is an administrative tool rather than the primary legal site of collation. The Senate therefore sought to codify this by keeping the physical results, that is form EC84, as the legal anchor. Help us make sense of this, because lots of legal stuff here.
I listened to Akpabio. He was on TV trying to defend it, that people are already on TV. People have gone to TV to criticize them and to do all that. Thank God he's following, he's looking at the pace of what is going on. All he's trying to do is to cover up for the mishap that happened at the National Assembly. Okay, if he's true to himself, he will advocate for real-time transmission. Whatever happens during let's have the real-time transmission first. Let's forget about whether it will cause litigation or it will whatever it is. When we get to that point, the courts are there to handle the issue, okay, in the interest of justice. Yes, so it should not sit down there and tell the general public that the Supreme Court have ruled that the fiscal form is illegal, whatever, and all that. No. Real-time transmission is, they should transmit it, because after voting, between the polling unit and the collation center is where the rigging takes place. Do you understand?
Yes.
So if people vote and they remain there and say, we are here, transmit this thing, let's see it. They transmit it to the, from there, what is transmitted is recorded, is retained. So by the time we get to the collation center and anything coming out from there is different from what is transmitted, then you're able to say, okay, there's malpractice.
Yes.
But the National Assembly don't want that. They don't want that. It's not something they can come out and tell the public that they don't want that. So they are now going through the back door to cut through the process. And they are doing this in bad faith, doing it at a time when they know that there's no more time. They may even finish all this and pass it to the president. The president will veto it. Of course, they can bypass the president, but that's an assembly that has a mind of its own, not this type. Because if after 30 days the president does not sign it, means he has vetoed it. So what time do we now have to come up with, when are we going to resolve this thing? The time for litigation, okay, that we have is shrink now. Okay, the time to submit names on everything is shrink now. Okay, reduce and compact. Okay, in which case, INEC will have to work extra. INEC will have to be, if INEC is not even overrun in the process, we don't have more time, we don't have any time any longer. So is the president going to sign this? Another thing entirely. Does this government really want us to use this electoral reform for the next election? I don't think so. First, the National Assembly wasted a lot of time. And at the end of the day, what we have now, we're rushing, we're running.
Okay, and Barrister, but then again, if the word in quotes that transmission could reveal, what has been stated in it, does replacing transmission with transfer still change the legal meaning? Yes.
It changes it now, because transfer means when you finish collating.
Yes.
Transfer could be anyhow. Could be through online, could be through flight. It's flight, you normally use to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will take it by flight. Between the time when they are taking the flight to when they get it, that's where they reach it. Something like that happened in Imo State during Okorocha's. It was between this, that somebody was held on gunpoint. The INEC official confirmed that he was held on gunpoint to alter the result. Okay? So, but if you have electronic transmission, nobody can be held on any gunpoint. Do you understand? Because as you transmit, whatever you transmit is retained also. So, during litigation, you can use what was retained, okay, to argue the outcome of what came out later. If they are not in order, there are discrepancies, you know that there's malpractice. So the law will apply. When there's malpractice, what did the law say? So the law will apply. Okay, where there's substantial non-compliance with the letter act, the law will apply. So you see that it's going to be easier. Akpabio knows that if you do real-time transmission and all that, it will not be possible for him to come into the National Assembly through the back door. But that is what he did. He did not contest election. This Akpabio has seen that the Senate president did not contest election for that seat he's sitting on. He did not contest election. And he knows that if you have real-time transmission, you will not be able to come into the Senate from the back door after going to contest for president. Came down. He knows. So many of them don't want that to happen. They don't want to take Nigeria forward. They want us to remain where we are. And then he talks to people as if he's talking to children. He was talking on TV that many people don't know the process of lawmaking, that they are not yet true. We're not saying you are true. We're saying the actions you have taken so far is in bad faith. The actions you have taken so far have criminal implications. And those criminal imputations must be corrected. That's what they're saying. Nobody's saying you are done. People don't know what lawmaking is. We're not even yet done. We have to go there. See, don't say that. Don't tell, you can't tell, no. We know what you are doing. And they are not happy that the Nigerians now are awoken. They know where this whole thing is going to. That's why they are looking for ways now to ensure that they leave it the way it is. And leaving it like this would mean that we wasted so much time talking about electoral reform. We ended up not reforming anything.
All right, so let's cast our searchlight now to INEC at this point. Your former lecturer and professor of law, now INEC chairman, Professor Mopito, has said that when he was first given that position, that he would govern INEC in such a way, administer INEC to Nigerians in such a way that losers will be happy that they've lost. At this point, what do you think INEC and Mopito can do at this point? Do they have a say at this point on what should be the best bet? Is it transfer or is it transmission? What do you think Mopito should be doing at this point, knowing that lots of things are on his neck right now?
Yeah, you know, INEC recommendation was real-time transmission. INEC recommendation to the Senate. INEC input to the Electoral Act, this reform, is real-time transmission. That's what INEC asks for. Okay, now the Senate have abandoned what INEC asked for to retain what they have based on the judgment of the Supreme Court. At the time the Electoral Act the Electoral Act sounded like though the electronic transmission to the IRF was mandatory. The Supreme Court now said no, it's a mere administrative guideline. Okay. After the outcome of the 2023 elections, the amendment and reform was proposed. INEC came out with a long list of recommendations, which formed part of the document that necessitated this amendment. Okay, and the National Assembly went to work. Okay, today they are turning against that proposal just because all of a sudden they want to taint the 2027 election. They want to taint it. You can see how they are going about campaigning all over the place. In fact, it was as if from 2023 to now, it was as if this period did not exist because immediately this government going to power, they started campaigning.
For the next elections.
Even though Section 94 of the Electoral Act says campaigns will only start 150 days to and 24 hours after the election. All that is observed in breach. As we speak now, Wike is in Rivers State distributing buses for the president campaign. His campaign is ongoing now in Russia. INEC have not lifted the ban. The penalty for that is a paltry sum. The penalty provided in the Electoral Act is a paltry sum that can be paid from pocket while standing. So there's no punitive arrangement whatsoever that is worthy of compliance. And that's why from the president to political parties to party leaders to Wiki to cohort, everybody is violating that law. And INEC is not saying anything about it. So in situations like this, it is difficult for you to really assess the Nigerian political system as it were.
Wow, this is actually quite dicey at this point, and lots of people will be asking which way forward. Lots of Nigerians today have not voted yet, and the reason they have not done that is because they do not trust the system.
And we do actually, sorry for, if you ask the Nigerian, are you going to vote or are you thinking of voting? The response is, will my vote count? Imagine you asking a question and they are giving you, they are responding you with a question. Yes. Will my vote count? So that has really is more of like a trademark right now.
Yes, will I vote?
In the mind of
Nigerians. And to you, our guest, what do you think is what Nigerians are thinking about right now? Would our votes count come 2027? Is there a need for any Nigerian to step out of the comfort of his home to go cast votes, knowing that at the end of the day, it's either transfer, of course, not transmission, transfer. Do you think our votes will count 2027?
Well, the vote counts, except that some other votes are added. The right sum. Your vote, if you vote, they count it, of course.
Yes.
But it does not determine the winner or the loser. What determines the winner or the loser is vote by electoral malpractice, mutilation of result, okay? And violence, okay? So those are the things. And the general public, many persons are ready tools to be used. Some will be given money, say, go to polling unit, go and ensure that anybody that is from this tribe is not allowed to vote. Go, anyone that's allowed should not be allowed to vote. We saw that in Lagos State. In some areas, they will give some city urchins money to go and cause violence in a stronghold of another politician. Okay? It's not like your vote don't count, but it does not determine the outcome. It doesn't determine the outcome. So politicians want to win by hook or crook. And so they do everything to ensure that they get the vote. Of course, where a politician is popular, he will ensure that the vote counts because he's popular there. Where he's not popular, he will ensure that the vote does not count. You understand?
Yes.
So does our vote count? Yes, it does. Does it determine the outcome of elections? I don't think so.
You don't think so? Wow.
Wow, this is actually making me, because as Barrister was talking now, I was doing some research on how Sani Abacha had desired to conduct the August 1st, 1998 election, right? And we have it here that there's something that was coined at that time. They called it the 5 fingers of a leprous hand. Now, yes, so those were political parties: UNCP, CNC, DPN, NCPN, GDM. All 5 parties desired and had an affirmative primaries and adopted General Sani Abacha as the sole presidential candidate to run for the election come August 1, 1998. So, are we having the same scenario today in Nigeria? Barrister, do you think we are almost having the same scenario today in Nigeria? The 5 fingers of a leprous hand. I do not know how many parties we have now, but do you think that is where we're gradually moving into?
Well, this question, well, this question is coming too early because we've not seen primaries have not started. Okay, and parties flag bearers have not emerged.
Oh,
Okay, so that's why I say the question looks too early.
okay.
You understand? Uh, though in modern democracy in Nigeria, we've not seen where a different political parties endorsing the presidential candidate of another political party. It has not gotten bad to that level. Abacha's concussion it's a no-brainer. I mean,
But don't you think, Barrister, don't you think that what we have today is an AI version of what was seen during Abacha's era? Because with every party plugged into the center, it's more like an AI
it looks
version.
like that. It looks like that. It looks like that. Especially when you have a very devious leader like Abacha at the top, that's capable of using money to cause any kind of havoc. Because that endorsement, that Abacha's endorsement came with a lot of resources.
Yes.
It's money that costs. It's money that
Just like we're having today also.
Yeah, because not like people didn't enjoy under him now. A lot of people were praying for him to go. Okay? Nadeco, all the pro-democratic groups were, and just like what we have today, you are right to say that this looks like an AI version of it. Yeah, but and we have some persons whom you can use to also attest to it. Persons like Wike, who is in PDP but supports APC. Maybe not a full party, but individuals.
Yes.
That's why I say it's not as bad as Abacha's own, because Abacha's on a full political party endorse, and all that. But we don't have it here yet. I know the PDP will present presidential candidate, the LP will do that, the ADC will do that, and all that. So what we have today is better off than what happened that time. But ultimately, the outcomes are not different, because Abacha would have won.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, the outcomes are not different. That's it. So if we go to the polls on a neutral ground with Tinubu cannot survive it.
Yeah.
Tinubu cannot survive because his pedigree is very bad. He has a very bad reputation when it comes to governance. That is why he didn't govern. He never governed. He started politics again. He doesn't know governance. What he knows is politics. From 2023 to now, it looked like nothing existed. They just finished election and started campaign. No blocks, apart from the Calabar Coastal Highway, which is not even a start project. What else again will you say this government have done? There's nothing. There's nothing, practically nothing. NELFON is a mess. The public health care is a mess. Education is a mess. Okay? What did the government do? Did it tar roads? Which infrastructure did it build? Which job did it create? So you can see all the indices. And then it removes subsidy and it's asking for people to pay tax. And the price of goods went up and insecurity compounded. So what's the blueprint? What can you label? What can you say if we are documenting history that this government provided? Nothing. For almost 4 years now. Yet everybody's moving to in fact, there are some people who are now taking appointments as a coordinator of a city boy movement across the country.
Yeah.
And they are boasting that the city boy movement will be bigger than the obedient movement. That's what they are saying. You understand? For a man who is failing consistently, everybody is running towards him. There must be something about him.
In fact,
Very true.
Seriously, I was in a conversation with a friend, and she was like, "Kenny, do you know Nigeria is like a movie?" I said, "How?" And she was like, "Because Nigeria is, you're actually watching it, and you're watching the same scene over and over again.
Yeah.
You're not even expecting suspense. You're not expecting a change. You're just seeing the same thing." And I'm like, okay, and that gave me a self-reflection about Nigeria. I sat and I like, okay, from 2023, March 2023 or February, I think the election was held in February, March. I did like a self-reflection, like, okay, Nigeria, okay, what did we actually gain? What was that? True. I noticed that even when President Tinubu just entered, I noticed that we had lights during that month. And the following month, we went back to our normal, you know. I'm like, okay, so just like Barrister bringing our mind back to, okay, what can you say about Nigeria from 2023 till now? In fact, if we have a book to write about Nigeria, about this current economy,
all right, I think it's a time of self-reflection at this point, and the question, the rhetoric question we all should be asking is, how has Nigeria benefited us? Should we all join the bandwagon of the City Boys movement, knowing that what we're doing practically in Nigeria is suffering and smiling? Are lots of people even smiling? That's the big question here. But that's the time for today. Thank you so very much, Barrister. We truly do appreciate you and
my pleasure.
Your time. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we have to leave for now to make room for other programs right here on Enterprise Television. But do well to visit us. You can find us at enterprisetvnews.com to read up on everything we have talked about today. You can equally visit us at Enterprise TV7 to download our video and share to your friends and folks. And equally, leave your comment if you may. My name is Henry Igwebike.
And my name is Kenny Debodian.
Have yourself a splendid day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
God bless Nigeria.
God bless you.